Hello there and good morning everyone. Good to see you. Paul Trani here. I'm going to dive into today's design masterclass. Afroja, hello. Daryl, Annika, Frank's in the house. RB, Stuart, how's everybody doing today? Doing well? Cool. I'm always messing with my setup. I'm in a slightly different setup, so all of you can spot the difference. But it's good to have you here. Hopefully you could hear me. Oh, thank you, Michelle. Michelle is the best. Thank you so much. So here's to Michelle. Hopefully everybody has a nice little coffee. He's getting buckled in because we're going to go through a lot of stuff today. That is the plan. Sort of pro tips, hidden features, shortcuts. I call them hidden features. We don't hide anything from you, just so you know. It's just like overlooked features or features that are in Illustrator that you might not know about. So that's the goal. That's the goal. Thundercats are go. That's why I said that. We're ready to go now as well. All right, so yeah, everything seems good, and again, we'll just kind of dive on into this, working largely in Illustrator, just so you know. So that is the plan, and hello. Cool. All right. Yeah, that's the goal. And by the way, just, like, let me know what your favorite features are. So, yeah, I would love to hear your pro tips and features and all that good stuff. Because, again, I don't have a monopoly on knowledge. I'm sure you got plenty going on. So, and plenty I'd love to hear from. So, here I am in Illustrator, right? Typically, you go File, New, okay, and grab a new document, right? What you could also do, if you're on a Mac, I think I know the shortcut for PC, but Option-Command-N will open up a new document with your last saved sort of selected document. So I'm always going to File, New, and then I'm always selecting this one, which is everything customized, which is something I made, which I'll show you in a second. But all you need to do, Option-Command-N, or I guess it would be Alt-Command-N for new on a PC. So you could just bypass this this new document dialog is the goal. So yeah. So here we are. This is kind of what I typically jump in. Shift-Command-H to get rid of the page bounds. These are just quick little shortcuts, by the way, that hopefully you know, so we could just hide edges. That's all I was doing. I guess it's just Command-H, and I've been using Shift this whole time. Sometimes I just mash a bunch of keys together, and then the one letter that I know it is. Right, so actual size, you'll get used to all of these, by the way, whether you want to snap, show grid, different things like that. Let me reset this really fast to everything, but we can see our tools off to the side, and I feel like this gets like a little heavy right in here, like what's what? You can actually roll over, you're like, where the heck is the magic wand tool? So right down here, this is how you can customize the toolbar, but it's also just a good resource to see everything that's in here. Right, so I could start rolling through this stuff. And what you could do, because what do I accidentally do? Do you guys accidentally do this? I do this all the time, Bliss. I'm like, I'll click around. I'm like, okay, where's the thing? And I'll click, and I'm like, oh, click. Oh, I'm like, I hate it when I accidentally click on the perspective grid tool. And then I bring this up. I'm like, how do I get rid of it? It's so annoying. Double click on it. No, you're like, I gotta go. Oh, it's somewhere in here. Maybe it's down here. No, it's in here. Okay, there it is. Hide grid. So annoying. You guys deal with that? I'm like, just get rid of it, and just move it over. Again, this is me, but I'll move those tools over for perspective, a perspective grid. Once you move them over, that's when they're highlighted off to the side. You could always put them back and all that stuff. So, yes. Yeah, write down shortcuts for a cheat sheet. And, see, I did it again. I clicked again, and that popped up again. Just so you know, I'm going to be doing this, Illustrator, and Photoshop, like pro tips. But I'm rolling all this into an Adobe Max session. So I want to make sure you watch that, because that's going to be accumulation of all of these master classes. And I just realized my keying is off, so sorry about that. Let's fix that. Bam! There we go. Okay. All right. So here we are. We have this all squared away, all that good stuff. And then we can kind of get to drawing, by the way. Again, I could use the pencil tool. Sometimes you'll go over here, you'll start drawing. And I typically don't like, by the way, when I start drawing, is how thin this line is. So I'll come in, I'll like, okay, let's just say I'm gonna draw a heart. Or I'll do, what shall we do? You know, bliss. L-Y-S-S. There we go. Right? So I'm not a fan of how thin this line is. And honestly, I just wanted a certain setting every single time I draw. Because what I want to do is I want to go in and I would increase the thickness of this. It's like, okay, I want to increase the thickness. I want to adjust the width profile as well. Okay? Right? Well, you could take this, and if you open up your graphic styles, this is your default graphic style. So you could always replace this. So just so we can see what I'm doing, change it to my favorite color right now is pink. Right, so there it is. We can just click and drag. We hold down the Option key. We can overwrite that graphic style. So now each time I draw, you know, it's going to have that same style. Anytime I create a new line, if I decide to underline it, it's still going to have that new style. S. Oops. Let's hit N. Saba. Right? So hopefully that makes sense. So yeah, you can start customizing this stuff. Like make it, if you notice you're doing something, a lot of the same thing, like over and over again, just overwrite your defaults, right? Which would be graphic styles. Same thing for if we go into like character styles, right? See, this is the normal character style. Since it's in brackets, I'm like, hey, I could double click on that and I can change this to, I typically already have this changed to Acumen Variable Concept, but I could do, you know, Papyrus if I wanted to be that weirdo. Okay, so I've changed the default to, are you guys losing all respect for me? Because I'm kind of losing all respect for me for just even jokingly using Papyrus right now. I was like, no, this isn't working. Right, so there you go. So that's always going to be my default now, as you can see. Cool. Comic Sans, exactly. Jane, you got it. Okay, let me move this over so I could see. And go. Hello, Archer, Enya as well, and Emma. I see you guys out there on YouTube and Facebook doing double duty. So yeah, I love graphic style. Yeah, don't get me started about graphic styles are absolutely amazing. Should I get derailed? My brain is going so many places right now. Okay. So anyways, graphic styles, bam, shaba. Replace that. There's also paragraph styles too. You guys get the idea. I'm going to get rid of that. And now you guys kind of know how all that works. Okay, cool. I'm glad you like that font. That's great. Okay, so what else shall we talk about? So many things. Okay. I want to get into like tricking out Illustrator. Okay, so this is what I do. So we learned how to customize this. A lot of times I'll be, you know, working on a design. I don't know what it is, like whatever. I feel like I need to get something on the screen that's somewhat like at least not ugly. So let's just do this really fast. Bear with me. Let's just do that. This is actually old school, by the way, because you're probably wondering why there was a rotate tool, right? You take the rotate tool and you click once there. If you hold down the Option key and click, it's going to give you this dialog that pops up. And it says, hey, you can rotate it, say 45 degrees, and make a copy each time. So just click copy and then Command D. Ready for this? Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D, Command D. Now that's one of about 5 different ways to duplicate an object, right? That's one of about 5 ways. So many ways. I'm getting ahead of myself. Why did I even show that? I don't remember. So much I need to show, guys. This is in no particular order, by the way. Furry, hello. So super easy, right? So I just made this lovely like flower thing. Sure, why not? You know, I could draw out other graphics. We get how that goes. Let me actually jump in and put my swatches. That's what I want, my swatches. Look at how my swatches are all tricked out as well. I'll talk about that in a second. But, you know, here I have this lovely, you know, line, as you can see. You know, and you saw me duplicate hitting Command D. This is a super fast way you could start to just duplicate and make many different items of one thing. I'll go with, say, the star tool, for instance. First off, if you click and drag with the star, you're going to get the default star. Up arrow, down arrow is going to change those points. So you get it from star to a badge. Hold down the Command key, and you're actually softening those points. So there's more of a shallow angle to it. And now you have like a lovely little badge, right? And it will remember that. So you can start drawing out those badges. And you can change it back as well, like I'm doing right now. There we go. Star David. Why not? So we have this lovely little star like so. You could also, here we go, you ready for your quick duplicate? This is old school, so when we did this back in the day, it was like, whoa man, that's awesome. Hold down the tilde key, which is the little squiggly line. Okay? Hold that down while drawing out a shape like a star. So click and drag while holding down the tilde key, and that's gonna give you, of course, lovely spiral in this case, as you can see. Okay, that's the tilde key. And now you know. Let's take a sip of our coffee and say hello. Vikram, good morning. Oh, Command D, Command Z, Command D, boom. Yeah, Stephen Underwood, yeah. That's interesting, yes. That's a good call. It'll make a new layer, so yeah. So, all right, you guys get the idea. Delicious and weird blueberry coffee. That's right, it's blueberry, and I love it. All right, etch a sketch action, right? I want to get into so many things, right? So many things. Maybe we'll come back to sort of duplicating items and making that really efficient. Because what you did notice is over here I have my swatches panel, and look at all these wonderful colors. Guess what? Yours might not be like this, and I don't mean to brag, but ultimately you want to open up a file that has all this stuff in here every single time. Because what's so annoying to me is having to go in and be like, oh gosh, man, I gotta make that one this gradient again, you know, and then put it in here, you know, because by default, if we go to File New, we'll go to, you know, what a standard letter. This is what we have. There's 4 gradients, right? And there's no patterns. And we'll go down here. There's a couple lame graphic styles that I've never used in my life, to be honest with you. And also brushes. Like, okay, we'll go into brushes. Okay, there's nothing in here, right? So that's yours by default. What you ultimately want to do is you want to get all of your brushes that you made and all your swatches and everything, and then put them in one glorious file, which is exactly what I did. Let's open this up. Here's my everything customized file, okay? Baby, I do mean to brag just a little bit, Megan. I'm like, I just like these gradients. I'm really into gradients, if you didn't know. So, this is kind of just a little bit about what's happening here, but this is everything that you can save to your file. So first off, you could just take a file like this, one that you make with all these gradients and all these brushes, and you could do save as template, right? So we could save that, you know, as everything customized template, right? So we could do file, new from template, right? And grab that template. So that's one way to do things. But what I've done is, what I like is under File New, just being able to pick my own that I have created. So Frankenberry, oh, Frankenberry's been forever. Wow. I don't actually think I've ever had Frankenberry. You know what? That tells me that you were probably like a good middle to upper class if you're buying Frankenberry cereal. I didn't get any sugar cereal growing up. Maybe got Frosted Mini Wheats. That was the sugary cereal that I got on occasion. But my mom's like, you don't need all that sugar. She was a good mom. Okay, so I have this everything customized file that I just had open, which is right over here. You could actually put it in a little hidden location. Let's go there now. Application. Oh, geez, I don't even know if I'm going to remember. Which is why I have it written down. Under Library, Application Support, Adobe. And then in here, so you do have to kind of bury it, which is why I'm going to paste this in chat. Why not? It will be not yours exactly, but it'll be your version of Illustrator, your language, and it just goes in new document profiles. So that's what I do. You only have to do this, well, you have to do this each time you, if you install a brand new version of Illustrator, you will have to do this again. But anyways, I just like this. And I've shown this before, but you know, I've shown it before because it's awesome. I'll get that pasted in a second. So that's where you put it. New document profiles, dig down, pop, 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 pop. You could see all these different versions of Illustrator that I have. I'm not even sure if this is the right one exactly, but you want to go in the settings, right? English, new document profiles, and then there's everything customized, right? And I can make as many of these as I want to, okay? Hopefully that makes sense. And it's not quite pasting in, which I apologize. I'm pasting from one laptop to another. Ugh. And, you know, it's a whole thing. Right, so again, that makes it awesome. And now you can be awesome as well. So each time you're like, hey, you know what? I don't have to make my million gradients. Or when I go and start to draw something out, guess what? I'm always using this bacon brush. Yeah, there's my bacon brush. I don't know why I colorized it. But again, you could see all these brushes like ready to go, right? Easy enough. Yes. Snake brush. Snake brush. There we go. Easy enough. All right. The artboard size does not matter. Great question, Bliss. Artboard size doesn't matter. You are correct. I wish there was more we can customize, because again, I mean, it's not that big of a deal. But yeah, I typically like hide the artboard bounds, you know, but yeah, it doesn't save the artboard. But you can always do templates. Templates will save the artboard size. Okay. Bacon is the duct tape of food. That's right. Isn't it funny if like anybody's like, they say they like Brussels sprouts or some obscure vegetable. It's just because it's covered in bacon. Just say it. Just say you just really like bacon. Don't be like, oh, I really like Brussels sprouts. No, you don't. You like bacon on stuff because you never order Brussels sprouts that's not drenched in some sort of pig fat. All right. Bernadette's living the life, eating waffles, enjoying this lovely live stream. All right. So now that we know how to customize our own file, we can start making all these lovely gradients, right? As you can see right in here, on down to these patterns, right? This stuff is pretty straightforward. Probably wondering where I got all these. I didn't make them. I'm not that good, geez. Just go down to your swatch libraries. And sure enough, like patterns, for instance, basic graphics, dots. So things that I use a lot, or just like, I would just pull out things out of here. It's fine that it's in here, but you see how far I have to go to get to it? So that's why I just take my favorite swatches and load them all into this panel, and I make all my lovely brushes and all that fun stuff. Oh, you actually do like Brussels sprouts. You win. I actually do too. I'm into it. I like Brussels sprouts. You know, if it's cooked right, if you cook them long enough to where they're soft enough but not mushy, just like with any vegetable, then yeah, you're golden. All right. So we've added that. We've added some brushes. We probably made our own brushes, which I usually have in my template file. Let me just double check. I thought it's usually, I guess they're not in here anymore. No big deal. But yeah, so, gosh. Let's do this really fast. Okay, you ready? I'm going to show you how to do a couple quick pro tips in no particular order, right? Some people are like, oh, you need to make a bunch of colors, maybe the colors of the rainbow. So you could do this. Let's just try this really fast. Shabbat. People are like, oh, this is how I used to teach people, like, hey, you want to do some nice blends from, say, one color to the next, right? We could use the blend tool. You guys know how this goes. I'm already boring myself with all of this, right? But let's just create this gradient. Green, right? There they are, and ba, 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 ba. There we go. Right, we have that, and then we could also like break this apart as we know. So let's go to the blend tool, do specified steps, not 200. Let's do just like really 5, right? Like that. We have the colors of the rainbow. We could expand this like so. Boom. We can turn this into a brush too. Hey, why not? Take all these colors. The reason I had to expand it and make it solid color is because that's the only way it's going to be a brush, folks. Drop it right in here. It will be our art brush, or could be a pattern brush. Let's make an art brush. There it is. It's going to stretch. Key color, no key color. Done. Okay. Here's our lovely brush we just made. That should be pretty cool. But another way to do that is just take let me think about this. There's a couple different ways to do this now that I think about it. I love the blend tool as well. So take a gradient right in here, whether it's this gradient or another gradient, right? It could be the rainbow gradient right here, right? That's all I really needed to do is take this rainbow gradient. And then you can take any vector object and rasterize it. Just say, hey, you know what? Just be a raster graphic for a second, okay? Why would you want to do that? So you can come up here and say, hey, let's move this up. Do an image trace on it and say, hey, just give me the 16 colors out of this gradient, right? And that's what's happening now, is it'll break it up. And now we have a band of however many colors that we want. The same way we did this, but this is less troublesome in my opinion. Oh yeah, I'd be all over Brussels sprouts with fried bacon and garlic. Gosh, I'm into it. But we could always go in. Again, we have all these lovely guys. You get the idea. I don't know which ones I'm picking. Okay, cool. Not a big deal. Right, pretty straightforward. Yeah, there's more stuff we could do. And we will do. All right. So we have that. We create our brushes. The only reason I kind of showed you how to do some of this is so we can make a brush. So then we can go over here and say, hey, razzle dazzle me. Right? So now I have the brush selected, pencil tool, and we can do, oh. There we go. Let's actually change this. Boom. Let me show you something else. All right, so this is typically what happens. I was going to write out Jane, for instance. So J, and then I go to A. It's like, oh, come on, really? We have that same problem. I'm like, hey, just use, can't you just use the freaking last brush I used? So that's why you want to go in here to your appearance panel and go right here, and I'll zoom in on this right here. I usually turn this off. So anytime you need to create a lot of draw lots of lines that have the same settings, you're saying, hey, don't reduce it back down to its basic appearance. Don't do that. Just give me my cool rainbow brush and I'll be good to go. So you turn that off, right? And now we can go ahead and write out, and I'll move this off to the side. Oops. Let's do A, N, E. I don't know. I'm not saying that's a great... Let's do this. A. Oops. N, E. Yeah, you guys get the idea. Cool. Yeah, this brush is okay, but you know I only spent 2 seconds on it. Jane Bradbury is famous. We can take James' name, boom, right? We have this fun one that we could work with. This one, right? You can do endless things, as you can tell. Notice how some of these are picking up the color of the stroke, which is cool. So that's because if we go in here, so this one, for instance, says, hey, when you made this pattern brush, everywhere where there's yellow, go ahead and make that a color that you can change to the color in your stroke. So that's what's happening there. So if I could jump in here, this makes it awesome. So if I decide to, hey, make this a different color, obviously it's going to do it. Same brush, different colors, and you guys get the idea. So that's how that works. Right? Cool. I want to get on to more things. Boom, boom. Let's check out our brushes. Snake brush. I don't know, I'm just a huge fan of brushes. I'm like, hey, this is where I take a dig at Photoshop. I'm like, hey, Photoshop, can you do this? Can you change the brush stroke after the fact? No, I don't think so. You have to redraw it. Take that. Just kidding. As you know, I love Photoshop. That still looks like a snake. I'll go with this one. All right. Swirly letters are cool. I kind of like this one because it's pretty colorful. So sometimes you're going to make a brush that's really thick, right? And I don't know if any are like that, but sometimes I'll have a brush that's really thick. You can just go ahead and change the scale. So when you make that brush, you know, and when you start applying it super thick, just take the scale down. This always stays with the brush. All these settings stay with the brush, which is awesome. So yeah, keep that in mind. And of course, you'd add lovely ends to it. So if we want to go with a rope brush, boom, look at the rope has these lovely ends that you could also make. So there you go. I like this too. Jane. It's like very, it's like, I don't know, Jane of the Wild West. Throwing shade. That's right. Bruce. Mexafunk. I love Orlando. He's awesome. And I love Photoshop. Come on now. Come on. Yeah, you guys. In fact, if I go in here, let's just try this really fast. Come in here. There's no key color in there, so that's okay. All right, Jane. We did it. What else are we going to do? Maybe I'll check my notes. How about that? Let's see. You guys probably saw when I was drawing out this letter A is sometimes you will draw something like that and then you'll draw over it, and you're changing the brush stroke that you've just drawn, right? This is really hard to see. I'm sorry, I got to change the stroke now. This is just too much, too hard to see. There we go. So typically, if you're over a line, right, you're gonna get those asterisks. If it says, hey, I'm gonna create a new line, but when you roll over it, then it's like, oh, I'm gonna change this line. You don't always want that, obviously. Right? So that's what I'm doing right now. Shoop. I'm actually changing that stroke, which sometimes you like, sometimes you don't. Sometimes you want to have it selected, sometimes you don't. Double click on the pencil tool right in here. It's keeping it selected. So you could always uncheck keep selected. You can edit select, you could turn that off. So you're not editing your selected paths when you redraw. Okay, so keep that in mind. Right, so, and let's try that now. See, now you don't have that conflict anymore. So, all right, Jane, simpler the better. I like it. Let's take this to the next level, shall we? How should we? Maybe we'll do some actual real text. We need to get into real text. And I'm checking the time. 30 minutes in. How's everybody doing? Priyanka, how are you? All right. The more you learn about Illustrator, the more you like it. Oh, good. I hope it is that way. That'd be awesome. All right. Let me scroll up. Let's do Christy now. All right. I'm just taking people's names out of chat. Now remember, I have that same issue. Remember with my crazy text that I need to change. So again, character styles, double click. If it's in brackets, you're setting it as the default. Yeah, I usually do Acumen variable concept. I don't know, do whatever you want. Hey, it's yours. It's yours to mess with. So let's do Christy, because this will be a fun one. I'm going to use my favorite font. We'll get into fonts right now. Oops, cancel. There we go. Get rid of that. Play with the font. Shabba, shabba. Ooh, that's a nice one. Right out of the bat. It's because I used it recently. But as you know, I like Lust, which is nice. Let's go with one that's a little bit thicker because you have these alternate glyphs that you get to select from. Like this one. Boop. What does the R have? Got a little curly here. Let's take the K. There we go. Kind of like that. So tell me this is not nice. I mean, I like it. All right. So there we have Christy. Looks great. It doesn't look that great because like there's not a lot going on with it. There's not a lot of color, right? It can use some nice color, for instance. We'll change this. Give a nice little stroke. We'll round the stroke caps in the corners. Hey, let's move that over. Make sure we can see it. Maybe we'll put a dot pattern over the top of it. Hey, why not? Appearance panel. This is probably the most, I don't know if it's underutilized. I don't know what you guys think. But yeah, let's add a new fill. Boom. Here's our new fill. Yeah, we don't want that new fill in black. We want to like maybe put some dots in it, right? Maybe something lighter, right? Actually, let's go darker. Let's go in here. We're saying, hey, this is, it looks like Christy came down with a chicken pox or something, right? So we want to soften that. We'll change this to say overlay. I don't know. I'm just playing with these different blend modes now. It's almost too soft. I don't know. Well, it will be different based on the color. So let's go with this stroke. Let's add this purple. Let's increase this stroke. Let's add a fill. That is going to be yellow. I don't know. There we go. Okay, so we're able to see it much better now. And I'm like not crazy about it. It is okay. It could use a little bit of work. But I can start to increase the thickness of this, and I've seen some people do this. Is what they'll do is they will like duplicate it, make the line thicker, and indent. You just want to keep it as simple as possible, right? So we can again come in here, add another stroke. This stroke right here is going to be even thicker, and maybe we'll bounce to the like an orange, right? And we'll make this a little bit thicker, right? And we will move this underneath the fill. So what's happening here is it just works kind of like Photoshopped, where it goes from the top down. The orange is in the very back, or this gold color, and then this color. So this is the stroke, and then the two fills. And this stroke is on top, so it's on just obviously layered on top of everything. All right, good job, Paul. You made something ugly. Guess what? You come in here, add some effects. Why not? Let's just add a drop shadow, which I'm sorry, I do not use a lot of, but let's just go ahead and do it anyway. Let's take down that blur. There we go. Blur to 0. That looks better. Much easier to see. Boom, we have it. Done. We can now save this to our graphic styles right down here. Bam, there's our new graphic style. And there is, yeah, Christy. Like, it's okay. But the great thing about this is anytime you use, how am I going to explain this? Let's try to take this letter and let's just change it to something else. Okay. So we're going to run into this situation. So this is what sometimes happens, especially if anytime you add a stroke to some text, you're going to have this conflict. You want to get rid of that, and it all has to do with the appearance panel and all this fun stacking. And really, it's just this purple that's the problem. Let's move that over. Oh, so sorry. Yeah, so I would just have to make sure this purple is underneath these two fills. There we go. And then I can thicken it up to get it to kind of where it was before. There we go. So we've gotten rid of that thanks to the stacking order, and it works better, right? So hopefully it does. It looks like an 80s sitcom. But notice I did all of this without outlining the text. So we can say, so we get an 80s sitcom, it's Christy, you know, because it does. It's like very 80s sitcom-ish, right? I want to scale this text down now, okay? But what's happening is it's scaling down the strokes and the effects and everything, which doesn't make it match anymore. So we don't want to do that. We want to go into Preferences, General, and turn off Scale, Strokes, and Effects. So don't scale it down, obviously. And now we can move that down. And we can get rid of maybe that curl. And again, scale this down as much as we want, and the thickness is the same. There we go. It's Christy. It's kind of an eye, kind of hurts my eyes a little bit. Does it hurt your eyes? Hurt my eyes a little. It does need a background. That's probably what I should have done. I should have, let's try this one. Boom. Again, still looks like an eye chart. Okay, so when you start messing with this, you might want to reduce to basic appearance, because that one got a little crazy. And from there, I don't know. All right, guys. You get the idea. What are we even doing with our lives? What are we even doing today? What's even going on with this? I don't know, but you know what? We could save it. I could save the design, because guess what? Yeah, I have some graphic styles right back here actually already saved. Okay, so by the way, the size might be completely off, and if you get graphic styles, right, sometimes the size might be off. So we're going to see graphic style 3. Ooh, that actually looks pretty good. I'm actually okay with that. Let's send this to the back like that. This one looks pretty good. We still have this conflict right here, right? That's just because I need to move these two underneath the gradient there. Oops, wrong. Get it, Paul, get it. All right, something kind of like that. Is that better? Christy, are you okay with this? How we doing? Let's try this other one. Ooh, there's another fun one as well. Still that same issue with that overlapping. All right. Anyway. Yeah, you could add an offset to this. Yoshiko. Okay, so let's do that. You guys ready for this? So this is much better. Thank you so much. I think I saved the design. Whew. Designing live is hard. All right, so let's just duplicate this again. And let's reduce this back down to its basic appearance. And maybe get rid of the craziness. And make sure we can see this text. Alrighty. So, let's just take the word Christie. It's going to be easier just to deal with one. Okay. Check this out. This is what I could do. I could do an offset. I want to show you this. You ready for this? Because I know somebody's going to ask about this. Somebody's going to ask about like the really thick like text. So what we can do is we can add a fill and let's change the color of this fill to something else and we can offset it. So, in fact, this is how I'm going to offset it. You ready for this? We can do a traditional offset path, but what I want to do is I want to do a transform. You ready for this? Transform. We will offset it, or we will move it actually. Oh, not 1 inch, 1 pixel. Sorry. Like that. I've just offset it 1 pixel, right? And now I can make, say, 6 copies of this and just hit tab. So now, or let's do like 20, just so you could really see it. See what we get here? We get this offset of this path. We're making copies of it. So now we get that sort of block letter style. So again, a lot of people like doing this. I think this makes a lot of sense. And still, by the way, Command Y, we just have that same text and we're good to go. Kind of want to change this gradient 90 degrees, maybe -90, something like that. I don't know, folks. Now I want to get into designing this a little. Pull this off, drag this over. Oh, something kind of like that. There we go. A little bit more electric, different style. All the good things. Cheers. All right, so we did this once. Okay. We have this second fill, so this might as well be called our like block shadow. I don't know what you want to call it. But you could take this, I think you could duplicate it, bam, and change the color to something else. And go to transform. Let's do 40. Why is it not doing anything? Oh, darn it. I'm so sorry. I didn't have it selected. Oh, geez, help me. I did not have it selected, so I was sitting there making an appearance, a different appearance, and I didn't have it. Okay, so we'll go in here. We'll change this. The second one, we're not going to see it just yet. We'll change that gradient, which I was like, oh, that's fine. I don't see it. We'll go into transform. We'll make this 40. There we go. Now we've extended that down to say 40. But I might change this. Let's do 20. I'm going to change this one to 10. Right? And then we'll just do this as many times as we want. Duplicating this again, going in here, change this to something else. So 10, 20, 30, 40 on down the line, right? And now we get something kind of crazy for Christy, right? Again, yeah. Christy's so bright and colorful. So, cool. Thank you, Van Dam. Van Dam's in the house. Hello, good to see you. So this is really fun. You can do this as many times as you want. Ultimately, what you're going to end up getting is something pretty cool for your graphic style. So you're going to end up loading that up. Bam. We have this colorful rainbow that we could stack and stack and stack and stack. And then also I would put this as part of my everything customized file so it always travels with me. So another way to do this, I know some of you are thinking, you're like, oh, I could do that maybe another way. So let's go back down here. Let's duplicate it. Let's do reduce to basic appearance. Let's just change the font. Van Dam is in the house. We will change this. And I'm going to change the font as well. Make it nice and thick. And make it all caps. Shabab. And tighten it up. There we go. Van Dam. Let's do this on a new layer. There we are, my friends. 3D, extrude and bevel. Right. Maybe off axis, say that direction. Okay, so you get something similar, right? We don't have all that gradient in there. Well, let's just do that now. Click OK, bam. Bam, hurry up, Paul. Do your thing. Go. Can you go faster, sir? Can you go faster? Hurry up. I'm like, I know. I need to go faster. Let's just do this rainbow gradient. Who knows? This might end up really... we're doing the same thing that I did earlier, by the way. So let's just take this. Again, a couple different ways to do this. Rasterize. Right. We'll trace it down. We'll get maybe the top 6 colors. Why not? We'll take this. We're gonna make 2 different versions. So yeah, that's not a great. That's an okay colors there. Oh, let's expand this. Oh, I did not look to see how many. Okay. So 3D in Photoshop, the thing is we have 3D in lots of apps. So I think sometimes like engineering wise, we would rather devote 3D to a separate app than, you know, and we get complaints having 3D in Photoshop. People are like, oh, you know, bogs it down. That's what some people say too. So it's like tough to please people. All right, so we have this gradient. Maybe I want to change this. I'm going to rotate it. I'm going to go into recolor artwork, right? We'll go to color theme picker. I'm just going to change the color. Oh, sorry. Advanced options, not color theme picture. Bright colors, maybe. Like I might want something a little bit more bright, and I can even rotate it a little bit more. I'm basically getting a different color scheme ultimately. Sure, why not? Done. There you go. Drop that in there. Boom. Da-da. Da-da. Shabam. Shablam. Shada. Bring this over here, and then we can go in. Look at our appearance panel. Guess what? There's our 3D extrude and bevel. Go into map art to it. And this is where it gets to get a little long and drawn out. But I just added this gradient to the front. So let's clear that. Ooh, let's just, can I undo that? I guess not. But this is where we're dealing with Van Damme's name. We actually have 84 different sides that I have to map this to. But typically what I was going to show is how you can jump in and say for one side of the name, we can add this gradient scale to fit, right? Oh yeah, and by the way, it's highlighting it. So even though there's 84, we can say, hey, you know what? Not that one, not that one. Ooh, this one on the side. Let's go ahead and apply that and let's scale to fit. And now we have that gradient like so, or we can pick our other one, which scale to fit gives me these stripes as well. So yes, it takes some time setting this up. Scale to fit. But once you have it set up, life is much easier. Let's do this side. I'm going to do maybe all sides of this V only. Scale to fit. Notice how it's actually divided this up in a weird way. That's just because of the font. Anyway. All right, you guys get the idea. Clicking done. Okay. Okay, okay, we get it, we get it. Let's just take out that. Let's go with the V. Right. Oh, interesting when I scaled it up. But ultimately, let's go to rotate this around, and you can see what's happening there now. Cool. We get all that banding. And again, the good part about doing this is we could change the angle, and it's not much trouble. So once you get it set up, you'll have this lovely little rainbow that you can add. And do what you want with. And again, I didn't do all the sides, but you guys get the idea. Okay, let's move on. Can I make a pattern in the fill? Yeah, so the thing is you do need to make it a symbol. So if you decide you want a pattern on this V, sorry, it's a little messed up now, but you would want to add your pattern and basically in a little square and then drop it into the symbols panel. So that's what you got to do. All right, looks like a lovely wedge of delicious cake that I kind of messed up, but that's okay, right? You guys get the idea. Again, this is all about pro tips. I'm not going for a pro design necessarily. Thank goodness. All right, but let me check my notes. I didn't get into the iPad, Illustrator on the iPad. That's a whole other thing. Oh, let's do this really fast. Oh, I'm actually out of time. That always happens, doesn't it? Dang it, people. Well, thank you, everybody. And again, thank you for hanging out with me today. I didn't get to all my tips, but good thing I get to stream next week as well. So thank you so much. Thanks for hanging out with me. I'm going to be back later on. We're going to do some Photoshop compositing. It's going to be pretty hardcore and a lot of fun. So appreciate you guys. And hopefully you guys are into this. Shift F, give you presentation mode. You can see that's off of the pasteboard, but that's okay. Right, Command H, boom, there it is. Okay, now I can shrink it down into place. All that good stuff. Okay, boom, there we go. So thanks so much, everybody. I will be back. We have a daily creative challenge. I know Terry White's up, and then I'm gonna have some fun getting into Photoshop, making complex collage with like lots of layers. So thanks so much, Steve, Van Dam, General Kenobi, Rick H. Appreciate you guys. Stay cool. We'll see you guys a little later. Thanks so much.